continue our knowledge sharing mission through a series of interviews with marketing leaders from all over the world, and we are thrilled to have Donovan Chee today with us. So please, Donovan, introduce yourself.
Hi, Sabrina. Hi, everyone. Welcome to CMO Chats. My name is Donovan Chee, and I'm the Head of Marketing and Communications at Bureau Veritas for Asia Pacific.
Thank you, Donovan. It is really nice to see you again. And, this CMO Chats, we'd love to ask you a couple of questions. And I think the first one would be, tell us a little bit about you and your role in the company.
Bureau Veritas is a French company and is a global leader in the testing, inspection, and certification services. We have more than 80,000 employees across 40 countries worldwide. And my remit really is the Asia Pacific region, which contributes to nearly 30% of the group's revenue. What we do here are really amazing and very interesting stuff. I think our services span across a wide range of sectors and industries. To make it more layman, maybe let's take the building and infrastructure sector as an example. So, Sabrina, maybe the office building that you're in, obviously you want to make sure that the building is safe, right? Safe and built to last, really to make sure that in terms of foundations wise, is it going to withhold every natural disaster that may come after? And the kind of work that we do is to make sure that when we inspect, we certify, we verify that the building is safe so that any occupant that comes in to live in will be safe from any disaster that may strike, and which obviously would impact the building. So that would obviously come in the form of this building and infrastructure sector. Now, if you're looking at obviously more, I would say, personal consumption kind of business, then when you go to a restaurant, you see the menu, it says is salmon that you're eating it comes from a sustainable source, then who is going to verify it? That will come under Bureau Veritas. So we're there to verify and make sure that our independent third-party stamp, which is our BV logo, would actually help to maintain the trust and transparency between our customer and, of course, the end user. So that's essentially the kind of service that we do, or the kind of work that we do, essentially to broker trust between our customers and the society at large. So in the case of my function, well, as I mentioned, it really is marketing and communication. So what we do here really is to drive the way we do and position ourselves, or rather how we position ourselves across in this industry, and make sure that we rise above the noise that our competitors are making, right? And make sure that ultimately we position ourselves as a thought leader and become the trusted partner for our customers. So fundamentally, our marketing activities are all geared towards that. Now, what do we do to create that? Obviously, there are a couple of things that we need to do. One would be the storytelling aspect of things. To me, I've always felt that B2B marketing should predominantly be all about storytelling. The kind of stories we tell, how does it resonate with our customers? But more importantly, the stories we tell should actually not just touch the customers, but also make sure that they understand we're there to solve the problems. I think a lot of times when it comes to B2B marketing, people will see that it's boring. It's meant to be boring, or it's not exciting enough because we're not selling shampoo. So our advertisements are more factual. But the truth is, we're also selling to people. And these are key decision makers who have to make decisions that revolve around profitability for the companies, right? So we need to understand our customers. And in doing so, the marketing that we do must have the right message and the right stories to reach out to them. Now, of course, the question then is, in terms of the marketing that we do, what kind of returns will we have? Because if you talk to senior business leaders, they'll be asking, what kind of returns on investments would you have when it comes to doing marketing? So obviously, we need to back it up with data. Data in terms of what kind of opportunities would we have when we do certain activities, what kind of sales, what kind of revenue, etc., so on and so forth, so that we always come back to being able to doing the fundamentals of marketing, but at the same time, support it with data that drives the company's business. So that's important for all of us. Now, of course, with Asia Pacific being such a big region, the question that comes into, are we doing the same thing for all countries across Asia Pacific, or are we going to be doing very customized activities? The truth is, every country has got its own cultural nuances. We all know that different countries do business differently, the kind of messaging, the kind of angle, it all has to be very customized and tailored to our target audience. So while the overarching theme is predominantly pretty much the same everywhere, the way we approach marketing will be tailored to the general needs of the markets to make sure that we do not lose sight of the cultural sensitivity, for example, and also respect our markets. That wasn't a nutshell. There was quite a mouthful over there, but that's essentially what I'm doing over here, Sabrina.
What is your main marketing focus at the moment?
Now, remember when I said the main objective is really to rise above the noise. I always tell my marketers this is when you are in an industry, you obviously have got competitors, and their competitors is because they're all selling the same kind of things as you, whether it's products or services. They're competitors because you are all jostling share in the market. How then do we rise above this noise where all of us are saying the same thing and selling the same things? For me, it's important to be very purpose driven. The brand must have a purpose. And when I say purpose, it's not just about saying that we have got this service to solve your challenge. What's critical down here is what kind of brand image do we want to present to our customers where they can go out there and say, I'm proudly certified or have been using Bureau Veritas. That is the purpose that we have. So in doing so, making sure that we are a brand that is trusted, not just by customers, but eventually the end user, I think that is very important for me. And why do I say that even though we are a B2B company? I liken it to this thing where I have this mission in mind, which is even though we are a B2B company, if a man on the street recognizes your company's name, I would say that means your marketing is on point, right on point already. Because as a B2B marketing or as a B2B company, there's no right for the end user to know what you're doing. However, if you are able to transcend across all sectors and boundaries where yourself, Sabrina, like yourself, right? You're probably staying in a building and then you go into the building and you see like it's been certified safe to stay in by Bureau Veritas. This means you now know what we're doing, and this means that it's 100% very clear. You will feel much more confident that the building you're staying in has been verified by a company that you are very well aware of. So that means brand marketing wise, we're right on point, we're doing very well. So that is very much a key thing for me to make sure that we are very purpose driven. But it goes back down to how we're going to tell the purpose. Again, it's through storytelling. How we're going to make sure that we resonate with our customers is through making sure that everything we do would allow our customers to understand how we're going to solve their problems, how we are going to help them achieve their objectives, and ultimately help them become a company that is better in the form of or in the eyes of the customers.
Can you give me an example marketing strategy that has wielded the most success in terms of, engagement or lead generation?
There are a lot of things that we have been doing, and frankly, in today's day and age, where digitization is almost like the key channel for all things content, I think one of the biggest achievements that we had was a campaign that we did that was done on a physical level, a face-to-face level. And that was after COVID. We were trying to launch this new service that we had, and we wanted to make sure that post-COVID, it was always webinars, correct? But we wanted to move away from webinars. We want to go out there and meet customers, wanted to go out there and figure out how we're going to continue to network and build and enhance the relationship with our customers. And that's so important. Just to sidetrack a little bit, I think customer experience is a very key part of the way we should be doing marketing, because customers are going to be your promoters. They're going to be your word of mouth. And nothing is more important than that, than the customers going out there and saying, hey, I hired BV. I think they're great. It would beat any single brochure that you have. So going back to what we did a technical seminar roadshow where we brought two subject matter experts and meet our customers. So it was important that we were not just hiding behind a screen or just going to meet customers and say, hey, this is our latest brochure, this is our sales deck, come take a look, I'm going to share with you certain things. No, we wanted to educate customers. We wanted to share with them how these services will actually benefit their businesses. These were actually digital engineering services that we were providing. And being in Southeast Asia, companies or customers tend to be a little bit more traditional and conservative because they do not know how such services, especially when you start using technology to augment your traditionally manpower services, how would it affect the business? So we had to put on a show and tell, present case studies, ask them to come and try. But it was a great event, not just in one country, but in 4 countries across Southeast Asia. Because we went out there, we met a lot of customers in one place, and we really showed them what needed to be done. And to be honest, nothing of this scale had been done, not just within Southeast Asia or Asia Pacific, but rather within the entire global sphere. I think what we achieved down there was really a case of us being able to network and enhance the customer relationship. The other thing also is being able to bring our subject matter experts to show and tell. The third thing is we were not there to sell, we were there to educate and really demonstrate how our services would value add their business. And the last thing, obviously, is to make sure that in a post-COVID world, we go out there, make our faces seen, continue to strengthen their relationship with customers, and hopefully they will continue to think of us, which would then obviously bring me to the second point, our next point, which will be how we position ourselves as a thought leader and capture that mind share. So all of these activities that we were doing at this roadshow, it allowed us to show and tell, as I mentioned earlier, and capture that mind share of which they have never thought of, right? Because nobody has ever done that before with them and on such a major scale where we were going to 4 different countries and meeting 10 or 20 different companies all in one single area. So when they know that we are doing that for them, they would then expect the same with our competitors and other companies, obviously. And if they don't do that, then you will see that their expectations will go like, okay, BV is able to do this. Why are the other companies not able to do it? Is it because BV thinks better of us? They really treat us better as customers. So when you have all these questions that are being asked by the customers, you allow yourself to be in there, to be seen, to be thought, to be heard. And that's very important for us. There's also another important thing. At such events, you actually get to meet your customers in a more informal setting. And that's where you start to understand or start to find out certain information that may not have been readily available. What kind of future projects they may have. And these are important nuggets of information for salespeople. And one of the things I always realized is, even though marketers like us, we always tend to just focus on organizing the event, I always encourage my team to go out there and speak to the customers, network with them. Because surprisingly, customers tend to let their guard down when they speak to a marketer as opposed to being a salesperson, right? When you speak to a salesperson, you know that they're going to sell me something. I'm not going to tell them anything. I don't want them to kind of bombard me. But when you speak to a marketer, you go like, okay, you're just doing marketing. And then it naturally starts off with, I like this event. This event is good. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they actually felt that. But the lead into the conversation is much more casual and much more, it's less formal, more relaxed, and it allows the marketer to then pick up nuggets of different information to go back and feed the sales team and say, hey, I got this little piece of thing down here, which he said might happen in 2 years' time, but you might want to know. During the course of these conversations, the marketers will also be able to understand the customers better, understand their challenges, and this allows us to step into the shoes and create content that is relevant to them. Otherwise, we'll always be hiding in a well or behind a wall and saying, I don't really know what they want. I don't know how to craft my messaging. So I would say, go out there, meet your customers, talk to them, understand what they're thinking about, and you bring that perspective back and create the content that you need.
What do you believe is the current biggest opportunity for CMOs today that might not have been available in the past?
Wow, this is a great question. I did think about it and I could come up with a couple of answers. I hope we have enough time for it. I think the first thing would be the way marketing has evolved. Now, I've been fortunate enough to see the different stages of how B2B marketing has evolved from its initial days to where it is now. Even though I've been doing this for 15, 20 years, when I first joined, obviously B2B marketing wasn't a sexy thing. And one of the key reasons, and I'm going to share this with you, I'm going to make myself very vulnerable down here, but one of the key things I wanted to do marketing when I was studying was because I love watching TV advertisements and I always found them so interesting because they were always telling a story. And somehow or rather, good advertisements, they don't exactly tell the story that you expect. And it's when you least expect it and you go like, oh, this is gonna, stay in my brains forever. And so I always wanted to do that, maybe whether I was going to go into advertising or whether I was going to go into B2C marketing. And that was my initial dream. Now, obviously, as fate would have it, none of these companies wanted me, so I ended up doing B2B marketing. But it doesn't mean that I lost out on anything because 15, 20 years ago, the kind of B2B marketing that we were looking at was essentially very standard. You were just going to trade shows, customer events. In terms of collateral that you need, it's just brochures, you need corporate gifts, you need pull up banners. And if a customer says, hey, I need some sponsorship, you just go ahead and do it. Whether is it pasting a sticker on a van or on the glass panels. But right now, it's not that these things are obsolete, but we have seen how it has grown and evolved to the point where today we are now talking about B2B marketing having a story to tell, B2B marketing having data driven insights, B2B marketing being able to integrate AI into it, right? And B2B marketing is now talking about technical seminars, forums, customer events, and how we're going to integrate everything to give a better customer experience. So what used to be in silos 15, 20 years ago, where it was seen merely as a support function, or as I like to say, a coloring book department, because the sales team will always say, hey, I need a brochure. Okay, I'll just design, and that's it. It's one and done, right? We now see we're now able to see so many different parts coming together. We can even track a customer's touch points on every digital channel. This is one thing where I have really thought marketing or marketers of today would be able to pick up and learn much more than what it was last time. The road has been paved. I think marketers need to learn and need to absorb really fast because it isn't like what it used to be last time where it was slow and uneventful. Now everything is fast paced. Just look at the way AI is being integrated into the way we do things. So that's the first thing. The other thing would then be in terms of, well, AI, as I mentioned, and that's important because technology is going to drive the way we do marketing. And you can see the way people consume content, even for B2B marketing. Nobody's going to watch a 3 minute or 5 minute video anymore. Everything is in short form. And our attention span is such that 30 seconds is the max, or maybe 1 minute. So, how then are we going to get our message and points across as soon as possible, as fast as possible, as clear as possible in just that limited time span? And how are we going to get our stakeholders who maybe may not believe in what we are doing to really see the value in that? So we need to be able to obviously find that angle and make sure that the stakeholders that are involved in our company understand that we're not there just to be on trend, like doing a TikTok just for the sake of doing TikTok. There is a real purpose to it. So we need to understand how to integrate all this technology, which would include AI. The third thing would then be, I would say, mentorship. I think it's critical. It may seem like a soft skill which doesn't fit into the topic that we're talking about, but to me, a marketer today needs to be guided through because of all the experience that we've had. And I would say that for me, fortunately, I've had a couple of mentors along the way to guide me. And it's not just marketing mentors. I would really urge our marketers to go out there and find mentors coming from different functions, whether is it from sales, whether is it from finance, whether is it from HR. And there are very clear reasons why. For sales, essentially the mentor that you have or somebody that you can click with and really ask questions is because you will then be able to understand how your work is impacting the sales front. How is it contributing to sales growth? How is it contributing to the growth of the company, making sure that the company is growing year on year? Obviously, the other thing is for you to be able to meet customers. So if the salesperson is able to bring you out to meet the customer, you'll be able to find opportunities to ask the right questions, to be able to interact with the customer, and even find co-branding or co-marketing opportunities with customers. Again, it goes back to me saying that customers are always your best promoters. If you're able to get them on board because of the relationship you build through these meetings, this is going to be very helpful for all parties involved. So that's the first thing with sales team. Now, with other functions, for example, the finance side, you want to be able to understand the business side of things. Now, marketers, you have got so many different kinds of marketers. You've got the data-driven kind, you have the creative kind, you have the content kind. The good thing about marketers is we're able to see all of these things in our unique perspectives and piece them together. However, sometimes we may run into the issue of a challenge of trying to be able to define what we do in figures. And through understanding all these things, when you speak to a finance person, when you speak to your CFO, what are they looking for when we do our marketing activities? I don't think they would actually bother about, oh, we just did an advertisement. Does this tagline resonate with you? I don't think they'll be looking at that. Instead, they'll be saying, okay, you launch this campaign, I'm going to give you X amount of money. What are the returns? So you need to understand their lingo, their thoughts, and from there, be able to frame your thoughts and your justification and your proposal towards what they're looking for. So that's the second thing. Now, the third thing, which I did mention, was HR. HR is more of a brand experience that your employees have. But having your employees as an part of your perhaps your employee advocacy program would be very important for you to go out there for them to actually share about their experience with the company. And when we're talking about marketing now, it's not just about marketing to customers. It's also marketing to the future customers. That's one. Two, also to future employees of, perhaps the company that you're in. And with the way the younger generation are today, they're always looking for a company that is very purpose-driven, purposeful, it's got meaning to it. You want to make sure that the brand image that you're putting out there through your colleagues is one that is able to attract the talents of tomorrow. So talking about that, so putting all of this together, in terms of mentorship, being able to speak to all of these different functions, I think is critical. So it gives you a much more rounded view of how marketing is able to support, not just in the business growth, not just in being able to put the brand out there, but also be able to pull everyone in together and say, hey, we are on this common journey together towards a shared vision. Join me, and we'll all get that together.
So our last question, how would you describe the role of the CMO in one word and why?
Maybe I'll give it three, all right? We call it CMO. I'll call it CCO, Chief Collaboration Officer. The thing really is, why I'm using collaboration is because I see the Chief Marketing Officer or the marketing head as the glue that binds all these different functions together. Now, each of these functions in the company play a very important role in their own manner, and that's not to be denied. But when it comes to marketing, a lot of times we are also seen as sometimes perhaps just playing a supporting function and not really a critical function in there. So how then do we bring all these different functions together and make sure that we're doing the right thing and we're doing something that's purposeful and we're doing something that the company needs? So a lot of times we're actually going to each of these different departments to say, hey, I need your help, I need your support. Can you help me do this? Can you help me do that? And that's where your people skills would be on full show to make sure that you're able to collaborate with each of these different functions, make sure that they're on board with you towards a shared vision. So as I mentioned earlier, we are so in terms of what this issue of how we are going to work with each of these functions is really to be able to get us to where we are as one whole company. So example, we speak to sales, we want to make sure that the campaigns that we're doing is aligned with sales. We cannot just be running around doing a campaign which has no impact on the company's growth eventually. So there we are collaborating with them. But having said that, can we then bring finance in perhaps as part of this campaign to support us in other ways? Maybe we might say that, okay, because sales has got these certain targets that they need to hit, marketing has got these certain objectives that we need. Can we then have your support to increase the budget so that we can do certain things? And then another partner comes into collaborating this campaign. And perhaps then, how can we further expand this campaign that don't just reach out to our customers? Can we reach out to the society at large? Then we may need to bring in the HR, or we may need to bring in even certain colleagues who may not be of any function, maybe even the administrative manager to come in and share with us, their thoughts in terms of, okay, how is the company being viewed out there, on a much more streamlined level? the man on the street, how does he think of the company? What does he understand about the company? Maybe ask any of our colleagues, does your boyfriend know about our company? Does your boyfriend know what we are doing? All these little nuggets of information will then be passed back to us, and then we'll be able to do a campaign much, much better. So all in all, that's the reason why I'm saying we should be considered a chief collaboration officer, because all of this input, it may sound like, you have too much feedback and too much noise, and it may ultimately distract you. I say there's certain information that is needed. You can just take it in and then make sure that it becomes a campaign that would really meet your objectives. So, going out there, being able to speak the right lingo with your sales team, with your finance team, with your HR team, with even the administrative manager, that is a skill that I think the CMO or the head of marketing need to have. And hence, I say 3 words, Chief Collaboration Officer. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for having me. And thank you for watching, everyone. Catch my full interview on Spotify. See you.